My ex-wife cheated on me with my golden child brother and gave birth to his baby. Now, my family, which always hated me, begs for money after I get promoted. I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but here I am. It's been a wild ride, and I need to get this off my chest. I'm the younger of two brothers, born into a family that always made it clear I was the least favorite child. My older brother, let's call him Jack, was the golden child from day one. He excelled at sports, got straight A's, and had the kind of charm that made everyone love him instantly. Me? I was the quiet, nerdy kid who preferred books to balls and computers to popularity contests. Our parents never tried to hide their preference. Jack got the newest gadgets, the best clothes, and all the praise. I got hand-me-downs and criticism. "Why can't you be more like your brother?" became the soundtrack of my childhood. But I didn't let it break me. Instead, I poured myself into my studies, determined to make something of myself despite their lack of faith in me. Fast forward to college. I met Sarah during my sophomore year. She was beautiful, intelligent, and for some reason, she saw something in me that my family never did. We fell in love, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly valued. We dated throughout college and got married a year after graduation. Life seemed good. I landed a job at a tech startup, and Sarah pursued her career in marketing. We weren't rich, but we were happy. Or so I thought. Enter the villain of this story, my brother Jack. He had become a successful real estate agent, driving fancy cars and living the high life. Our parents were, of course, over the moon about his success. Whenever we had family gatherings, it was the Jack show, with everyone fawning over his latest achievements while I sat in the corner, feeling invisible. Sarah always seemed to get along well with Jack. Too well, in retrospect. She would laugh at his jokes, touch his arm, and give him these looks that I should have recognized as red flags. But I was naive and trusting. After all, this was my wife and my brother. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, as it turns out. 3 years into our marriage, Sarah started acting strange. She was distant, always on her phone, and our intimacy had all but disappeared. I tried to talk to her about it, but she brushed off my concerns, blaming work stress and fatigue. Then came the day that shattered my world. I came home early from work, hoping to surprise Sarah with flowers and take her out for dinner. Instead, I was the one who got the surprise of a lifetime. I walked into our bedroom to find Sarah and Jack tangled in our sheets. The flowers fell from my hand, and for a moment, time stood still. They scrambled to cover themselves, spouting excuses and apologies, but their words were just noise. All I could hear was the sound of my heart breaking. I left the house in a daze, ignoring their calls and texts. I spent the night in a cheap motel, trying to process what I had seen. The two people I should have been able to trust the most had betrayed me in the worst possible way. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, divorce papers, and family drama. Sarah begged for forgiveness, claiming it was a one-time mistake. Jack tried to play it off as bro code and said we should just move past it. My parents? They had the audacity to suggest that I should forgive them both and keep the family together. After all, Jack was their precious golden child, and they couldn't bear the thought of him facing consequences for his actions. I refused. I filed for divorce and cut off all contact with my family. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I knew I had to prioritize my own mental health and self-respect. As if the betrayal wasn't enough, life had another curveball to throw at me. A month after I moved out, Sarah announced she was pregnant. And guess who the father was? Yep, my dear brother Jack. The family exploded into chaos. My parents were torn between the joy of becoming grandparents and the scandal of how it happened. Jack, ever the charmer, spun it as a blessing in disguise and talked about how he and Sarah were meant to be. Sarah seemed conflicted, alternating between excitement about the baby and guilt over what she had done. Me? I was numb. The divorce proceedings became even more complicated, and I had to fight tooth and nail to protect myself financially. Sarah tried to claim that I should support her during the pregnancy, arguing that we were still legally married. My lawyer shut that down quickly, thank goodness. I threw myself into my work, using it as an escape from the emotional turmoil. Ironically, this laser focus on my career led to some unexpected positive developments. I started climbing the corporate ladder, impressing my bosses with my dedication and innovative ideas. Meanwhile, the family soap opera continued without me. Jack and Sarah moved in together, playing house while waiting for the baby to arrive. My parents were over the moon about becoming grandparents, conveniently forgetting the circumstances that led to this situation. I heard through the grapevine that not everyone was as forgiving as my parents. Many of our mutual friends and extended family members were disgusted by Jack and Sarah's behavior. They lost friendships and faced social ostracism, but my parents continued to defend them, claiming that love works in mysterious ways. The baby was born 7 months after my divorce was finalized. A little girl. I received a birth announcement in the mail, complete with a family photo of Jack, Sarah, and the baby. The audacity was breathtaking. I tore it up and threw it in the trash. Life went on. I continued to excel at work, pouring all my energy into my career. 2 years after the divorce, I received a massive promotion. I became the youngest VP in the company's history, with a salary that made my previous income look like pocket change. And that's when the story takes another turn. Word of my success somehow made it back to my estranged family. Suddenly, the people who had betrayed me, who had always seen me as second best, came crawling out of the woodwork. It started with a text from Jack. "Hey bro, heard about your promotion. That's awesome. We should catch up sometime." I ignored it. Then came an email from Sarah. "Congratulations on your success. I know we ended on bad terms, but I always knew you had it in you. I'm truly happy for you." Delete. The coup de grace was a voicemail from my mother. "Sweetie, we're so proud of you. Your father and I were hoping we could all get together for dinner. There's so much to catch up on, and we miss you terribly." I listened to it twice, just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. These were the same people who had dismissed me my entire life, who had betrayed me, who had the gall to ask me to forgive the unforgivable. And now they wanted to catch up? But it didn't stop there. As weeks passed, the messages became more frequent and increasingly desperate. Jack started hinting at financial troubles. Sarah mentioned struggling with single motherhood. Apparently, things with Jack hadn't worked out. Shocking, I know. My parents began outright asking for money, citing medical bills and home repairs. The irony was palpable. The golden child, the favored son, the one who could do no wrong, was now struggling. And who did they turn to? The black sheep. The one they had always overlooked. Part of me, a small, petty part that I'm not particularly proud of, felt a sense of satisfaction. For once, I was the successful one. I was the one they needed, not the other way around. But mostly, I felt angry and hurt. Where was this concern for my well-being when I was going through the darkest period of my life? I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I took a step that I should have taken years ago. I started seeing a therapist. Unpacking years of family trauma and betrayal was hard work, but it was necessary. I learned to set boundaries, to value myself, and to recognize that I deserved better than what my family had given me. As months passed, the messages from my family became more desperate. Jack lost his job due to a scandal at his real estate firm. Sarah struggled to make ends meet as a single mother. My parents faced foreclosure on their home. They all looked to me as their potential savior, the one who could swoop in and fix everything with my newfound wealth. But I had made a decision. I wouldn't set myself on fire to keep them warm. It wasn't easy. Despite everything, there was still a part of me that cared, that felt obligated to help. But my therapist helped me see that giving in to their demands wouldn't solve anything. It would only enable their behavior and drag me back into their toxic dynamic. So, I stood firm. I didn't respond to their pleas. I didn't attend the family interventions they tried to organize. I focused on building my own life, on healing, and on creating a future that wasn't shackled to my painful past. It's been 5 years since my promotion, 8 years since the betrayal that started it all. In that time, I've continued to thrive in my career. I've traveled the world, started my own successful side business, and even found love again with someone who values and respects me. My family's situation, from what I hear through distant acquaintances, hasn't improved much. Jack bounces between jobs, unable to recapture his former glory. Sarah struggles as a single mother, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. My parents had to downsize significantly, their golden retirement dreams tarnished by reality. There are times when I feel a twinge of guilt, wondering if I should have helped them. But then I remember the years of emotional neglect, the betrayal, the way they chose to prioritize their golden child over basic human decency. I remind myself that I owe them nothing. Some might call me cold or unforgiving. Maybe I am. But I prefer to think of it as self-preservation. I learned the hard way that sometimes, the only way to break a toxic cycle is to walk away and never look back. To those who might be in a similar situation, wondering if they should forgive family members who have hurt them deeply, I say this: forgiveness is a personal choice, and it's okay if you're not ready or willing to give it. You don't owe anyone your time, your money, or your mental peace, not even family. I've built a life I'm proud of, surrounded by people who genuinely care for me. I've found success on my own terms. And most importantly, I've found peace. It didn't come easy, and the road was long and painful, but I got here. As for my family, they made their choices, and now they're living with the consequences. It's not my responsibility to fix their mistakes or fund their lives. My responsibility is to myself, to the life I've built, and to the people who have stood by me through it all. In the end, I learned that sometimes the family you choose is more valuable than the one you're born into. Blood may be thicker than water, but it's not thicker than self-respect. So here I am, living my best life, free from the drama and toxicity that define my past. It's not the happy family ending that society often pushes as the ideal, but it's my story, and I'm finally the one writing it. To anyone out there facing similar family drama or betrayal, know this: you are worthy of respect, love, and loyalty. Don't let anyone, family or not, convince you otherwise. Your life is yours to live, and sometimes, cutting ties is the healthiest choice you can make. Thank you for reading my story. It feels good to finally share it. Remember, you're stronger than you know, and it's never too late to stand up for yourself and create the life you deserve. Edit: Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it did. Thank you all for your supportive comments and messages. To those asking if this is real, unfortunately, yes, every word of it. I wish it were just a creative writing exercise. To clarify a few points that keep coming up in the comments. 1. Yes, I've had a paternity test done. The child is definitely not mine. 2. No, I don't have any contact with the child. While I feel sorry for her situation, I don't think it would be healthy for either of us to have a relationship. 3. For those suggesting legal action against Jack or Sarah, I've explored all my options with my lawyer. At this point, pursuing anything would cause more stress than it's worth. I've made peace with leaving it all behind. 4. To those sharing similar stories, I'm sorry you've experienced this kind of betrayal. I hope you've found or will find peace, whatever that looks like for you. 5. And finally, for those asking about my current relationship, yes, I'm happy. It took a lot of work to trust again, but my partner has been incredibly patient and understanding. There is life after betrayal, I promise. Edit 2. Many of you have asked for an update, so here goes. It's been a year since my original post, and life continues to surprise me. The biggest change? I'm engaged. My partner proposed during a weekend getaway, and I couldn't be happier. It's amazing how life can turn around when you surround yourself with genuine love and support. On the family front, things have taken an unexpected turn. My cousin reached out to me a few months ago. Unlike the rest of the family, she expressed genuine remorse for not supporting me during the initial fallout. We've cautiously reconnected, and it's been healing to have at least one family member acknowledge the hurt I experienced. As for Jack, Sarah, and my parents, I heard through my cousin that they've hit rock bottom. Jack's drinking problem spiraled out of control, leading to a DUI. Sarah lost custody of her daughter to child services temporarily. My parents had to move in with my aunt due to financial troubles. Part of me feels a twinge of sadness for them, especially for the innocent child caught in the middle. But I remind myself daily that their choices led them here, and it's not my responsibility to fix their lives. My therapist suggested I write a letter to each of them, not to send, but for my own closure. It was an emotional process, but it helped me release some lingering resentment and reinforced my decision to maintain distance. On a brighter note, my side business has really taken off. I'm considering leaving my corporate job to focus on it full-time. It's both exciting and terrifying, but I've learned that taking risks can lead to great rewards. To everyone who shared their own stories of family betrayal and healing, thank you. Your resilience inspires me daily. Remember, we can't choose our birth families, but we can choose how we live our lives and who we allow into our inner circles. Life isn't perfect, but it's pretty damn good. Here's to continuing to grow, heal, and thrive, on our own terms.